My name is Natalie Whitmore. I'm 37 years old, and until 3 weeks ago, I believed I was in a stable, grown-up marriage. The kind people stop questioning once enough years stack up. The kind that doesn't explode loudly. It just exists. Until it didn't. I came home on a Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m., same as always. The house was dark, no lights on, no music playing from the kitchen speaker like there usually was when Daniel got home before me. His car wasn't in the driveway. That wasn't unusual. He'd been working late a lot recently, or so he said. I reheated leftovers, answered a few emails, folded laundry in front of the TV without really watching it. The kind of automatic movements you do when your life feels predictable enough to run on muscle memory. By 9 p.m., I texted him. "What time are you coming home?" No response. By 11 o'clock, I was annoyed. By midnight, I was worried. I called him 4 times, straight to voicemail, every time. At 1:47 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text message. "You'll hear from my lawyer only. Consider us done." I stared at it for a full 5 minutes. Read it again, and again, and again, waiting for my brain to rearrange the words into something that made sense. No explanation, no warning, no conversation. Just done. I called him immediately. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. I texted back. "What the hell is this? What's going on?" 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then, "I've been unhappy for a long time. I can't do this anymore. My lawyer will contact you about division of assets." That was it. 6 years of marriage, ended by 2 text messages just before 2 a.m. I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch we'd picked out together 3 years earlier in the living room we'd painted ourselves and tried to figure out how I'd missed the moment my life quietly split in half. Had there been signs? He'd been distant lately, short-tempered, protective of his phone. He'd changed his passcode 3 weeks earlier without mentioning it. When I asked, he said I was reading into things. By morning, the shock had burned off. What replaced it wasn't sadness. It was something colder, clearer. If he wanted done, we'd be done, but not on his terms alone. At 8:01 a.m., the moment my bank opened, I called. I froze our joint checking account, our joint savings, removed him as an authorized user on my credit cards. I'd been the primary earner throughout our marriage, worked in finance, made nearly triple his income, and most accounts were in my name with him added. The bank representative hesitated. "Is there some kind of emergency?" "My marriage just ended," I said. "I need to protect my assets." She processed everything without another question. Then I called HR. Asked that my husband be removed from my health insurance, life insurance, and all beneficiary designations effective immediately. The woman on the line was kind, efficient. Asked if I needed resources. I said no, just the changes. I took the day off work anyway. Called the best divorce attorney I knew by reputation. Her retainer was painful. I paid it without hesitation. At 2 p.m., I sat across from her in a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows and told her everything. She looked at the text messages, raised an eyebrow. "No warning?" she asked. "None." "And you froze the accounts?" "All of them." She smiled, just slightly. "Good, that was smart." When I left her office, I didn't feel better, but I felt prepared. That evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "What the hell did you do?" Daniel's voice, shaking, furious. "I secured our assets pending legal proceedings," I said calmly, like your text indicated we'd be having. "You froze me out of everything," he snapped. "My card got declined at the grocery store." "Correct." "My rent is due." I paused. "Your rent?" Silence. Long, heavy. "You already have an apartment?" I asked quietly. This isn't what it sounds like." "Actually," I said, "it sounds exactly like what my lawyer warned me about." He started yelling then, about humiliation, about insurance, about how cruel I was being. I listened until he ran out of breath. "You ended this marriage," I said. "I'm just responding." He hung up on me. I made dinner, ate alone, washed the dishes, and for the first time since 1:47 a.m., I slept. Not peacefully, but decisively. The next 2 days passed in an eerie imitation of normal life. I went to work, answered emails, sat through meetings where people talked about quarterly forecasts and deadlines like my world hadn't split open at 1:47 a.m. on a Wednesday. At night, I came home to a house that still smelled like him. His shoes were by his door. His jacket still hung on the hook in the hallway. His coffee mug, chipped on the rim from when he'd dropped it years ago, sat in the sink like he might come back for it. I didn't touch any of it. I slept in the guest room. I couldn't bring myself to sleep in our bed. Not yet. By Friday morning, I noticed small absences. His laptop was gone from the home office, the watch his father had given him, a duffel bag I didn't recognize as his usual travel bag. He'd been back, Just not when I was home. We'd installed security cameras last year after a neighbor's break-in. I hadn't even thought about them until that moment. I pulled up the footage. Thursday, 2:14 p.m. Daniel let himself in like he still belonged there. He moved carefully, quietly, like someone who didn't want to be caught. Not by me, but by guilt. He walked room to room, opening drawers, scanning shelves, took what he wanted, left the rest. At one point, he stood in the living room for a full 30 seconds just looking around. Then he left. I shut the app and sat at my desk, hands folded, breathing through the dull pressure behind my eyes. That night, my phone rang again. Different unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? There was a pause on the other end. Hi, Natalie? Yes. Another pause. This is really awkward. I don't even know how to say this. A woman's voice. Younger than me, maybe early 30s. Nervous. Controlled, but barely. My name is Lauren, she said. I need to talk to you about your husband. The air left my lungs. I sat down at the kitchen table without realizing I'd stood up. My husband, I repeated. Yes, she said softly. Daniel. I closed my eyes. I think I know why you're calling, I said. She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for minutes. I didn't know he was married at first, she said quickly. He told me he was divorced. He showed me paperwork. He said you were separated, that you were basically roommates finishing up selling the house. We were very much married, I thought, sleeping in the same bed until Wednesday night. He moved into my apartment Wednesday, Lauren continued. Showed up around midnight with suitcases. Said he'd finally ended things and we could be together for real now. I felt something twist in my chest. Not heartbreak. Recognition. So why are you calling me? I asked. Because yesterday he lost it. Her voice shook now. He started screaming about frozen accounts, insurance, how you'd ruined him financially. He tried to use my credit card to pay for something. I don't even know what. I said no. She paused. He threw my laptop across the room. I said nothing. He broke a lamp, a picture frame. Started yelling that I was supposed to take care of him now, that I'd promised him a better life than you did. My jaw tightened. And then, she said, before he stormed out, I looked through some papers he'd left on my counter. I felt cold all over. There are bank statements from, she said, showing transfers from your joint accounts to another account, in just his name. Thousands of dollars at a time, going back months. I closed my eyes. Send me photos, I said, right now. I already am, she said, but there's something else. I waited. Last night, before he freaked out, he was on the phone with someone, I think his brother or a friend, and he was talking about taking the house, about making you pay, about how you'd look controlling, unstable. She swallowed. He said he could make people believe he was scared of you. I laughed. It came out sharp, humorless. I gave him complete freedom, I said. I never tracked him, never questioned where he went. Clearly that was my mistake. That's what I thought, Lauren said quietly. I'm done with him, completely. But I figured you deserve to know what he's planning. Will you give a statement if my lawyer asks? I said. She hesitated. I don't want legal trouble. You didn't know he was married, I said. You're not liable for his lies, but your testimony could matter. Okay, she said. Yes, I will. The photos came through seconds later. Page after page of statements. Transfers between $1,500 and $3,000. Over and over. Nearly $40,000 siphoned out over 5 months. Money I'd earned. Money he'd hidden. I forwarded everything to my lawyer with one line. Evidence of financial misconduct. A fair partner willing to testify. Call me ASAP. She called back in 10 minutes. This is very good, she said, for us. I stared at the wall, phone pressed to my ear. And for the first time since the text message, I understood something clearly. Daniel hadn't panicked. He'd planned. My lawyer moved faster than I expected. By noon, she'd filed an emergency motion to prevent Daniel from accessing any remaining marital funds and to compel disclosure of every account in his name. This isn't just infidelity, she said over the phone. This is financial misconduct, possibly fraud. The words landed heavier than I thought they would. Fraud. That wasn't a mistake. That wasn't confusion. That was intent. I sat at my dining table with my laptop open, scrolling through the statements Lauren had sent again and again, like repetition might dull the sting. It didn't. The pattern was surgical. Amounts small enough not to trigger alarms. Timed right after paydays. Transferred to an account I'd never seen because I'd never had a reason to look. 5 months. 5 months of lying to my face while sitting across from me at dinner. At 3:17 p.m., my phone buzzed. Daniel, we need to talk, in person. I didn't respond. 10 minutes later, Daniel, this is getting out of hand. That one made me laugh. At 4:02 p.m., the front door opened. I hadn't invited him. I was sitting in the living room, phone in my hand, my lawyer on standby, exactly where I'd positioned myself when I'd imagined this moment. Daniel stopped short when he saw me. He looked wrecked. Same clothes from Wednesday night, hair unwashed, dark shadows under his eyes. The confidence he wore like armor for years was gone. "We need to talk," he said again, softer now. "Your lawyer should contact mine," I replied evenly. "Forget the lawyers," he snapped. "I made a mistake." I tilted my head. "You made dozens of mistakes," I said, "over months." He froze. "How do you—" "Lauren called me," I said. The color drained from his face. "She told me everything," I continued. "The affair, the fake divorce papers, the stolen money." He sank onto the couch across from me like his legs had given out. "This is such a mess," he muttered, running his hands through his hair. "You made it a mess," I said. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen," he said quickly. "It just spiraled. I met her at a conference last spring. She paid attention to me. You were always busy, always working. I felt invisible." I stood. "Do not," I said quietly, "try to make this about my career." He looked up at me, startled. "You cheated. You stole nearly $40,000. You rented an apartment with marital funds. You lied to me, to her, to everyone. This didn't spiral. You planned it." "I was going to give the money back," he said desperately. "No," I replied. "You hid it so you'd have a cushion when you left. I have the statements." His mouth opened, closed. "Lauren sent me texts too," I added, "where you talked about taking the house, about painting me as controlling." He stared at the floor. "She promised she'd help me start over," he whispered. "She said she understood me." "She didn't know you were married," I said. "You manipulated her too." His shoulders slumped. "She kicked me out," he said. "I don't have anywhere to go." I felt nothing. Not satisfaction. Not pity. Just distance. "That's not my problem," I said. "We can fix this," he said suddenly, looking up at me with frantic hope. "Counseling. I'll quit my job if I have to. I'll do anything." "No," I said. "You don't get to decide that now." He stood abruptly, anger flashing. "You're enjoying this," he said, watching me fall apart. "I'm surviving something you did to me," I replied. "There's a difference." "I'll tell people you were controlling," he snapped. "That you monitored me, that I was scared of you." I smiled. It surprised both of us. "I have 6 years of texts," I said. "Emails, photos, friends who will testify, and Lauren's statement, and the bank records, and the lease for your secret apartment." I stepped closer. "Try it." Something shifted in his eyes then. Fear. "I need some of my things," he said quietly. "Take what you need," I replied. "You have an hour. Leave the key on the counter." He went upstairs without another word. I listened to drawers opening, closet doors sliding, the sound of a life being dismantled. 40 minutes later, he came down with 2 suitcases. He stopped at the door. "I am sorry," he said. "I really did love you." "You made choices," I said. "Own them." He left. I locked the door behind him. And for the first time since the marriage ended, the house was truly mine. The legal process didn't explode the way movies pretend it does. There were no shouting matches in court, no dramatic confessions under fluorescent lights. Just paperwork. Endless, methodical paperwork designed to turn emotion into evidence. My lawyer filed first. Emergency motions, asset disclosures, a formal response to Daniel's claim that he'd left the marriage due to emotional neglect. She dismantled that sentence in 3 pages. Text messages showing affectionate communication right up until the week he left. Vacation plans scheduled for the following month. Emails about repainting the guest room. Stability. Consistency. Truth. Daniel's lawyer tried to push back, argued the length of the marriage, implied my higher income created an imbalance of power. My lawyer didn't raise her voice. She simply slid the bank statements across the table. "Systematic transfers," she said. 5 months. Nearly $40,000. Hidden account. Intentional concealment. The room went quiet. Lauren provided a sworn statement 2 weeks later. She described the affair, the fake divorce papers, the lies. She didn't embellish. She didn't need to. Daniel never looked at her. At the mandatory mediation session 3 months in, I saw him again. He looked different. Thinner, older somehow, smaller, no wedding ring. His lawyer did most of the talking. Daniel sat with his hands clasped tightly, picking at his thumbnail like it was the only thing tethering him to the room. When the mediator asked if either of us wanted to speak, he opened his mouth, then closed it. I said nothing. 4 months after the text message that ended everything, the divorce was finalized. Daniel received 15% of the marital assets, just enough to nearly cancel out what he'd already taken. I kept the house, my retirement accounts, my car, The law didn't punish him. It corrected him. I saw him once more as we signed the final documents. He wouldn't meet my eyes. I didn't need him to. I stayed in the house for a year after the divorce was finalized. Long enough to understand that healing isn't about erasing memories. It's about reclaiming space. Every room held echoes. The kitchen where we used to cook on Sundays. The hallway where we argued about paint colors. The bedroom I hadn't slept in since the night he left. Eventually, the memories stopped hurting. They just existed. So I sold the house. Bought a smaller place closer to downtown. Modern, clean lines, floor-to-ceiling windows, a space that belonged to me alone. I decorated it without compromise. No negotiations. No, what do you think? No explanations. I dated a little. Nothing serious at first. About 8 months after the divorce, I met someone kind. Steady, honest in a way that felt deliberate, not performative. On our 4th date, I told him everything. I watched his face carefully as I spoke, waiting for judgment, discomfort, retreat. He didn't interrupt, didn't try to fix anything, just listened. We dated for 6 months. It didn't work out. We wanted different futures. We parted as friends. And for the first time in my adult life, I didn't feel like a relationship ending meant I'd failed. I spent time alone, traveled to places I'd always put off, reconnected with friends I'd drifted from during the marriage, took a cooking class and got surprisingly good at it, started running, finished a half marathon, learned to enjoy my own company. What I learned: people show you who they are when their comfort is threatened. Daniel was fine being dishonest as long as it benefited him. The moment it didn't, the mask slipped completely. I also learned this: protecting yourself isn't vindictive. Freezing the accounts wasn't revenge. It was survival. Lauren reached out once more about a month after everything settled. She sent a short email. She said Daniel had disappeared from her life after destroying her apartment, left her with damage bills and broken trust. She said she felt used. I told her I didn't blame her, but I didn't want further contact. She understood. I don't hate Daniel. I don't feel much of anything toward him. He's just someone I used to know. Someone who made choices that revealed exactly who he was. I sleep well now. I have a life that's entirely my own. No lies, no hidden agendas, no quiet dread humming beneath the surface. And when everything fell apart, I handled it with integrity. That's enough.